Hi friends, Robin here from Cheese from Scratch. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make yogurt. I got some right here. So I have made yogurt almost every week for like 10 years, maybe even longer. I've made yogurt way longer than I've had a milk cow, way longer than I've known how to make cheese. It's kind of my first foray into homesteading actually, was making yogurt. So I'm so excited to show you guys today how I make yogurt in my Instant Pot, but I also want to talk to you about how you can make yogurt if you don't have an Instant Pot, because there are so many ways that you can actually make it. And really, essentially, all you need is a jar. So we've got our jar, we've got our milk, and let's get going here today. So as I said, I have made yogurt for 10 plus years. It's kind of the first thing that I ever did as a homesteader. And I really wasn't even homesteading yet. I maybe had a little bit of a garden, but yogurt was really my kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. Maybe I can make my own yogurt and feel like a rock star. So I made my own yogurt. I think I was just out of high school maybe, and I was in nursing school, and I would make yogurt every week and take it in my lunch to nursing school. And it actually ended up being quite the budget thing for me, because you can buy a gallon of milk at the store for $5. Back then, I don't think you can buy it for $5 now. Back then, you could buy it for $5, and you could make it into 4 quarts of yogurt. And I wouldn't even need a whole gallon when it was just me and I didn't have kids yet. So like, it's really one of those things that if you don't have a milk cow, yogurt you should still be making, because it's going to save you money. It's just a really good product. And like those little yogurt cups and stuff like that, they're just like, there's cost so much money. There's so much kind of stuff that you don't even know what is in there, and you can make kind of like yogurt cups and stuff with this. So I'm going to show you guys today how to make yogurt into it in an Instant Pot. But I'm also going to do a bit of a control group, because I want to show you guys how I used to make yogurt beside the wood stove, and that you don't actually need a ton of equipment or any equipment at all to make yogurt, and that you can make it and it's really yummy. And I'm going to show you guys to entice you. You can make jiggly yogurt. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Wiggle, 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 yeah. Wiggle, 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 yeah. I'm a wiggle man. I don't know. I don't know if that's words. Anyways, so let's get started before you have to listen to another song. All right, so the first step of this yogurt recipe is that you need to heat it up to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you don't have an Instant Pot, you can be doing that on the stove in a pot. But with the Instant Pot, it actually has that boil function. So you can use that to heat it up to 180. So I used to make yogurt in like a jar beside the wood stove before I had an Instant Pot, and I wasn't really sold on that I needed an Instant Pot, but I got one for Christmas one year, and it's really changed my yogurt game. Because before that, like, usually your yogurt would turn out, but there'd be sometimes when your house was a little cooler, or it was maybe a little bit warmer and things were happening faster. So the Instant Pot really has changed my yogurt game, because it's given me a place where I can have a constant temperature for ripening my yogurt. And then the boil function is just super handy to be able to do everything in one spot. So what I do in the morning is I come down, before I even have coffee, I put my yogurt into the Instant Pot. And so I just pour it right into that bowl in the Instant Pot, the pot in the Instant Pot, that thing. I just pour the milk right in there. If you don't have an Instant Pot, pour it into a pot on the stove. And what you want to do at this point is heat it to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're using the Instant Pot, what you do is you put the lid on it, you make sure you open that steam vent so that that steam vent is open, and you are going to press the yogurt function button. And the first thing when you press it, it's going to say 24 hours. The second thing when you press it, it's going to say 8 hours. And the third thing when you press it, it's going to say boil. And the boil is what you want. As soon as it says boil, you can walk away. You can go and have your coffee now, because your yogurt is heating up to that 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And so the reason I make sure that I open that steam vent is because if you didn't open that steam vent and you allowed it to be done heating to 180, it would just increase. And if you've ever made yogurt before, you might have had it where it's got a bit of a grainy texture. And that's usually caused because you actually heated the milk to too high of a heat. So by opening that little vent thing, if you're not there right when it reaches that temperature, you can be able to walk away and it's not going to continue to heat as much. So it's really handy if you're actually close by, though, to be able to just take the lid off once it's done. It's going to say yogurt once it's done. And so to be able to just take that lid off, and then it can just start cooling right away, and it's not continuing to increase in heat. The first step is that heating to 180. The second step is the cooling stage. So this is where you take that lid off your Instant Pot. If you're not around and the lid stays on, it's not the end of the world, but it is going to help you to be able to make a better product if you're there to just take the lid off. Or if you're doing it on the stove, just take it off the burner and let it sit there. And so usually it takes about a couple hours to be able to reach down to the 120 degrees Fahrenheit that you're looking for. If you don't have that kind of time to stand around and wait for it to cool, you can do something called rapid cooling, where you fill your sink or like half full with cold water. You put your whole pot into that cold water and give it a few whisks, and that will rapidly cool it. It will be much quicker. It will take maybe 20 minutes versus that 2 hours that it sometimes takes. So that's the second step, is cooling down to 120. So let's talk about yogurt culture here for a second. Yogurt is typically a thermophilic culture. So thermophilic cultures like to thrive around warmer heats. So 120 is actually an excellent heat for yogurt culture because it is a thermophilic, and that's what yogurt culture likes to thrive in. And there's so many different yogurt cultures actually out there. It can become kind of confusing trying to figure out what culture you actually want for your yogurt. So when I first started 10 years ago, I was just like so confused because they're like you can buy like a packaged culture for making yogurt. You can use like yogurt from the store. Like, what should I use? And so it took a lot of like 10 years of just troubleshooting to kind of find what I like. So you can buy packaged cultures at usually most health food stores. Most cheese making websites will sell them. I think probably Amazon sells it. That's fine. That stuff works fine. What I found over the years is the best thing that works for me is if I go to the grocery store and I pick out the nicest quality yogurt, the nicest, thick, creamiest yogurt. That is the stuff I want to use for a yogurt culture. And the reason for that is that yogurt, because it's so good quality, those companies are probably using really good quality cultures. And that's what I've found over the years, like Crema, I think it's called. There's one that starts with an L, like those really nice quality yogurt ones work really good for starter cultures because those cultures that are in that yogurt are meant to make really good quality yogurt. Usually I'll keep a yogurt starter going for months and months and months. Today I'm using a little bit left over from a Botan container because that Botan container, I started it maybe a month ago or so, and this is going to expire. So I just want to use the last little bits of it here to make my yogurt. So you cool it down to that 120, and now this yogurt culture has a good environment to thrive. You're going to add it in. You don't want to add it in any sooner because if you do, it can actually kill that lactic bacteria. So when I make yogurt, I always make sure that I'm saving some over for my next batch. So I usually save, because I'm making 1 gallon of yogurt at a time, I usually save a 1/4 cup of yogurt starter. So the rule of thumb is you want 1 tablespoon per quart. So, and you are going to start to make your yogurt. So you put it in there, you whisk it up really good. Make sure you whisk it up really good so that it gets dispersed throughout the pot. Any cream that's sitting on the top, you want to whisk that in so there's no crunchy bits or anything in there. And then what you're going to do is put the lid back on your Instant Pot, and that yogurt button again, you're going to click it. And now this is where you have to make a decision. You can make a 24-hour fermented yogurt or an 8-hour fermented yogurt, or you can change the time on there and make whatever kind of yogurt you want. Oftentimes I'll make an 8-hour fermented yogurt, and then I'll just leave it in the Instant Pot for another until the next morning. So then I'm kind of getting a 24-hour fermented yogurt, but the Instant Pot wasn't running that whole time. On this Instant Pot function, you're not actually doing anything to do with pressure cooking with this. So a lot of people can kind of be like scared, because at this point, I actually transfer my yogurt into jars. And so I'll transfer them into 4 quart jars, and 4 quart jars will fit in that in an 8 quart Instant Pot really nicely. So I'll transfer into these jars, and then I put the jars directly into the Instant Pot. And what this does is it's just keeping them warm. That's all that this yogurt function is doing. It's just keeping them at a constant temperature so they're able to stay warm and continue to ripen. It's not having anything to do with pressure cooking. At this point, you really want to make sure, if you are putting jars in there, that you don't accidentally put the boil function on, because that would be a mess. But if you are just putting the jars into the Instant Pot and putting the yogurt function on, that's totally fine. And I love this because of a few reasons that I'm going to talk about a little later on here. So what you do, you put it in there, put your lid on, click that button. I choose 8 hours, and then you walk away for 8 hours. If you are going to do this on the stove, or like from your milk that is on the stove that you don't have an Instant Pot, what you can do is you put it in a jar, wrap it in a nice warm blanket and a towel, something like that, and put it in a warm spot. In my control group here, I'm putting beside the wood stove, and I'm going to show you guys at the end what the difference between yogurt that was done in the Instant Pot versus yogurt that was done beside the wood stove, because there's no difference if you're able to find that spot where you have a nice constant temperature. So as I said, usually I forget my yogurt in there overnight. So it will end, after it's done, it will say yogurt on your little screen there. It will say yogurt. You know that it's done then. And at that point, you can take it out of there, put it in the fridge, and it's ready for tomorrow morning. If you forget it in there overnight, it's not the end of the world. Then it just becomes a 24-hour ferment. And that has a lot of health benefits with it too. So once I put it in the fridge, I usually let it chill until it's cold. I don't know, like a few hours. And then I am able to start eating it, and it's awesome. Right, and that's it. You guys made yogurt. You can use that yogurt for all sorts of things. Usually, before I even put it in the fridge, I'll blend some up with some fruit and some maple syrup in the blender, and then I put it back into that same quart jar. And then I have yogurt drink for the kids all week. They like to just go in there and pour some of that, and it's like those yacht things that people buy that are like super expensive. You just made it for $1.25. So that is where you're really going to save money, as when you kind of start to diversify that yogurt product. Maybe you're going to still eat it just as yogurt, but maybe you're going to use it for other things around. So that's what I like to do, is make at least 1 jar into yogurt drink. Lots of times I'll scoop some into littler jars, put some jam in there, then you've got yogurt cups, all sorts of things like that, that just help me to kind of make it into more of a diverse product. So I did mention that I was going to talk about if you didn't want to put it in those quart jars. So if you don't want to put it into the quart jars, and first I'm going to talk about why I put it into the quart jars. So why I put it into the quart jars is because I'm a cheesemaker, and I like to think like a cheesemaker. I think that if you were just going to put that milk into the Instant Pot, into the actual pot, and you are going to let it ripen in there, that's completely fine. But when you go to scoop that yogurt out and put it into a new container, you're going to have a lot of whey seep out, because as soon as you cut that yogurt mass, which essentially that yogurt mass is a curd mass. And so here again, I'm talking like a cheesemaker, but that yogurt mass is essentially a curd mass. And as soon as you start to cut it, you're going to have whey leaking out. So you're going to have much runnier yogurt if you are scooping it out into a jar or into another container. Whereas when you're making it and it's staying in those little containers, when you scoop it out, you're just scooping it into your bowl and you're eating it, and I don't know, I just like the experience better than if you were scooping it into another container. It's probably getting stirred and you're just going to have a lot more whey leaking out. Whereas I want to eat that way. It's got some good stuff in it, so I want to eat that way. So that's why I do it in jars. Plus, it's just mess free. You know, like you take your milk out of the Instant Pot, it's like you can just rinse your pot pretty much. You don't have to even really give it a good wash. And then you can put your jars in there, and then you just like wash it out when you're done, and it's super simple. So that's another reason that I really like to use the jars. And plus they just store really nice in the fridge, and it just takes that mess factor away, because when you make yogurt all the time and say you are used to making it in a pot, you know that when you go to put it in a container, it can be a little bit messy. So that's what I do. If you're going to go on to make Greek yogurt, you can still do that with this method, but then it's just you dump in the quart into a strainer versus dumping a whole pot into the strainer. So that's why I do it that way. And it's changed my yogurt game a lot, because it just makes it so simple to have a couple yogurt quarts in there. And so last thing I want to do here is show you guys my control group and the difference between the control group and the one done in the Instant Pot. All right, so this is my control group one, the one I did by the wood stove. This is the last one from the Instant Pot. We've been eating them up. So I'm going to show you guys. So this one I had shown you. This is the Instant Pot one I had shown you before. No, I don't, buddy. I'll look for it for you in a minute. So this is the one from the Instant Pot. Nice and firm. And this one, it's got a cream on top, is the one from beside the wood stove. And it is just as nice and thick. So if you find a nice warm spot for that yogurt to sit, it's going to be the exact same product. So all the Instant Pot is doing is providing a nice place for you to heat it up, and also providing a nice constant temperature. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, because every Monday I'm posting a video on here. Cheese, milk cows, homestead dairy products, all of that stuff is on this channel. Thank you guys for watching this video. Throw me a comment below if you've ever made yogurt, if you like making yogurt, what method you use to make yogurt, and maybe some of the products that you like to make out of your yogurt. What's your favorite yogurt flavor? So let me know below, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.